The reason that you miss a lot of putts you should make is you have a problem with your aiming. And in this video, we're going to give you 2 concepts that will help you fix that. Let's get started. So when I talk about missing putts you should make, I'm talking about putts, let's say 8 to 10 feet or less. Now, I know we all think we should make everything, and we see on TV the highlights, or we're watching a golf tournament on TV, and those guys are making everything from all over the place. That's just the highlights. What they're not showing you is this, is on the PGA Tour, those guys you see on TV, they average making 4.7 putts per event. An event is 4 days, 4 rounds of golf, 4.7 putts. That's just barely 1 per day over 10 feet. By the way, the very best putter on the PGA Tour averages just over 7 per event. So that's less than 2 putts per round, more than 10 feet. Where you really need to pick it up is that 10 feet or less, and the problem there is your aim. We're going to fix that. First concept on aiming is you need to see the actual line of the putt. So part of that is green reading, but also it's a visualization concept. And I'm going to come at this from a perspective of shooting. I grew up in the South. We were poor. We ate rabbits and squirrels and things like that, raccoons, to supplement for food, to supplement our diets, and because there wasn't a lot of money to go to the grocery store and buy things. So I learned to shoot growing up. One of the things about shooting is I was taught from a very early age, do not shoot no matter what until you see the whole picture between you and your target. Now let's apply that to golf and putting. A lot of times we go out on the green and we read a putt and we don't really see or visualize the line that our ball is going to travel. And I'm going to illustrate that for you now. So here's a putt that's a little bit uphill, going to break a little bit right to left, and at first glance, most of you are aiming because you don't see the whole picture and visualize the ball. Most of you are aiming about right here. Just bare, in fact, I'm going to lay an ink pen down there. Most of you are aiming about right there. So this putt looks almost straight, maybe like it breaks about that much. But when I stand back here and I see the line and I visualize the rope that I'm going to put down there in a minute, and that's what you do to do this. You go out on the practice green, you pick a putt, you may even stroke it a couple of times, but then you lay down a rope along your target line showing the way that the putt is going to break. And you use that and try to hit the ball parallel to that. Let's walk all the way around this and read this. And I want you to see this putt breaks way more than most people would normally aim. All the way back to here. So while the camera is looking up the line at the putt, I'm going to tell you, most people look at this putt, and if they're a good golfer, they would aim it here, where I have the ink pen now, and think that it would break a little bit and go in. I'm going to tell you the putt needs to start out about here, and I'm going to show you that now with the rope. Get yourself a piece of rope, take it out on the practice green, use it to lay out the line of your putts, train yourself to visualize that line in your mind's eye. Let's watch this one and see just how far outside the hole I started. And I'll show it to you both with and without the piece of rope. Just like that. So now what I do is I set up a ball along the rope, and I want to roll the ball parallel to the rope. And I know it's hard for me to believe just looking at it that it really breaks that much, even though I've read the green. I know that it does. So I'm going to line up, and you could use a string if you want to. And my goal is I'm about 2 putter heads inside the rope. Nothing magic about that. But I want to start the putt on that line and keep it parallel to that rope and into the hole. I don't want to hit the rope, but I want to stay as close to it as I am now. And the thing is, I want to see that putt rolling up that line. What I do if I practice with this a little bit, yeah, people will look at you weird when you walk out on the practice green and start doing that. I don't care. I want them to look at me weird when I'm making everything in sight. This is way more. This is 10 or 12 feet. You ought to make, the tour pros on this putt make about 30%. I've been doing this morning and setting up this video. I'm making more than 50% of them, and that's huge. Learn to see and visualize your putt rolling on that line. See everything between you and the end goal. Make sure that you've got in your mind's eye how the putt's going to roll. This will change how you look at putts and how you see them and where you aim. All right. The second concept, in addition to seeing the entire line and visualizing your ball rolling along that line, actually seeing the break before you make the stroke, the second thing is the concept of aim small and miss small. I told you I grew up in the South hunting because we had to eat food. I was taught to shoot at a very small target. My grandmother raised chickens, sometimes a skunk would, and yes, she taught me to shoot a chicken hawk up in a tree. Sometimes a skunk would get after her chickens, and she taught me as a young boy to shoot the skunk in the eye so that it would die before it sprayed and stank up the whole place. My uncle and grandfather taught me to stick matchsticks in one wooden fence post on a barbed wire fence, back up 10 feet away to the other fence post, strike the match with the first shot and shoot it out with the second shot. To do that kind of thing, you have to have a very small, specific target. Now I want to help you apply that concept or translate that concept over to putting for you. And here we go, I've got a hole here. Let's just zoom down on that only, Mr. Cameraman. All right, so on this putt, anything between these two tees is going to go in if it's the right speed. I mean, even out to there, the gravity is going to pull the ball in the hole. So if I just line up and aim at the hole, which is what a lot of you do, I've got all of this space. And certainly if I hit it between that space, it will go in. But that gives me a wide focus, and I need a very narrow and specific focus. So let's tighten those tees up a little bit. If I got anything between these two tees will go in the hole. In fact, this, if I get between those tees, if that's my aim, and I miss over here a little bit, still goes in. But let's narrow it down even smaller. And I'm guessing, but that's about the width of a golf ball, right? No, that's too narrow. A little wider. There we go. Anything between those two tees goes in the hole. So if this is a straight putt, where should I aim the ball? Dead in the middle between those smallest two tees. That out here needs to be my target. And check out what happens. If I'm aiming at this target, I can miss all the way over here and the ball goes in, all the way over here. So this concept of aiming at a very small, very specific target will help you make a lot more putts because you have a wider range to miss. In fact, I suggest you go out on about 3-footers and put two tees beside the hole like that. Now your goal is to get it between those tees and in the hole every time. You get good at that, you make 5 or 6 in a row every time, then narrow it down. Cut out a part of the hole and say I have to go between those tees every time. You get really good at that, then drill down a target on your practice putt where you just barely have enough room for the ball to get through. In fact, I would tighten that up. and you work on that shot until you can roll the ball between those tees 4, 5, 6 times in a row. And then you get on the course, you're thinking about a very small, very specific target, and that's your spot. And if I miss this very small specific target by a little bit, so what? I've got some margin there for error. That affects your confidence, and confidence is a huge part of putting well. Because I know I can put it between here, but all I really have to do is put it between there. I'm not going to miss. A lot of it is attitude. Try these two things. Visualize the big picture, see the putt rolling up the line, then work on this little drill where you're tightening the target down to a very specific, finite point where you're aiming small and miss small. If you'll work on these two things, you'll make a lot more putts that you should make, and you'll stop missing. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, share it with a buddy. Click on that subscribe button, make that tap in, and until next time, here's to you making more putts.